Night covered the sky when Karen and Varl reached the border of the forbidden zone. The land looked dead, silent, and colorless, as if even the wind did not want to pass through it. Every alien child on their planet grew up hearing the same warning: never enter the forbidden zone. Nothing returns. But today Karen and Varl stood at its edge, looking inside like two explorers staring into the mouth of a sleeping beast. Karen was the bold one. His eyes always burned with curiosity. Varl, on the other hand, liked safety. He preferred facts, data, and logic. But even he could not deny the new strange signal their scanners detected last week. No animal, no machine, no weather pattern could produce a signal like that. It was sharp, controlled, and intelligent. Something was inside the zone. Karen took the first step forward. "Come on," he said softly. "The answers are in there." Varl followed slowly, shaking his head. "Or our graves," he muttered. As soon as they crossed the invisible border, the air changed. The temperature dropped sharply. Their breath came out in cold white mist. A low humming sound drifted through the darkness, as if the ground itself was whispering secrets. They walked between twisted metal remains, old structures destroyed long ago. Some looked melted, others looked torn apart. None of them matched any alien technology they knew. Fog curled around their legs like something alive. Strange glowing plants grew along the broken rocks, giving off blue-green light. Their shapes were odd, almost unnatural, like they had mutated from something normal into something dangerous. Varl scanned the area. The screen blinked red. Energy levels rising. This place should be empty, but something is active. Karen did not stop. He moved deeper, eyes sharp, mind alert. Something was hidden here for years. Maybe centuries. Suddenly Varl's scanner beeped loudly. "Movement detected," he whispered. They both turned. But they saw nothing. The fog thickened behind them, hiding whatever had moved. "It could be an animal," Karen said, trying to stay calm. "No animal has heat patterns like this," Varl replied, checking the screen. "It is too steady. Too controlled." They continued walking, stepping over broken metal beams and cracked ground. Every sound echoed, small rocks shifting, wind brushing past dead trees, the faint hum growing louder. Unknown to them, a pair of human eyes watched from the shadows. From the top of a ruined tower, a human soldier observed them through a digital scope. His armor was dark, blending with the night. His visor glowed a soft blue. He whispered into his communicator, "Two aliens have entered the zone. They're moving toward the old bunker. Keep distance. Do not engage." Karen and Varl felt none of this. But they felt something else, a growing presence around them. "Karen?" Varl stopped walking. "Does it feel like we are being watched?" Karen slowly nodded. "Yes. Something follows us." Branches snapped in the distance. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Varl aimed his flashlight. The beam cut through the fog, but nothing stood there. Just swirling mist. Karen took a deep breath. Whatever is here, it doesn't want to show itself yet. They walked a little more until they reached a wide open area, an old battlefield. Burn marks covered the ground. Pieces of metal armor lay scattered like dead shells. Some pieces looked alien, but others looked completely unknown. Varl picked up a broken metal plate and examined it. This is not ours. Different alloy. Different style. Looks older. Stronger." Karen touched the surface. "Who made this?" Before Varl could answer, his scanner beeped again, this time louder, sharper. "New reading," he said. "Not energy. Not movement. Something else." Karen leaned closer. "What is it?" Varl's voice shook slightly. "It looks like footsteps. Someone walked here recently." They followed the trail. The footprints were deep, clear, and nothing like any alien species on their planet. The shape was long, narrow, with defined toes. Karen frowned. "These look almost like stories from old legends." Varl whispered, "No, it cannot be. Humans went extinct long ago. Our records say that." Karen looked at him. "Records can be wrong." A cold wind rushed through the air, carrying a strange smell, metal, oil, and smoke. A smell they had never experienced on their planet. Karen crouched down, touching one footprint. "Whoever made these, they are heavy, strong, prepared." Varl scanned the trail again. "And fast. Their stride is long." Suddenly, a distant metallic click echoed from the dark. Both aliens froze. It was not natural. Not wind. Not animal. It was mechanical. Varl whispered, "Something is following us." From the shadows, hidden behind a destroyed wall, a human soldier whispered again into his comm. "They're heading straight into the active zone. Keep tracking. They don't know we're here. Karen looked around slowly. This place is not empty, he said. Someone lives here. Varl swallowed hard. Or waits here. They stepped forward again, unaware that more human eyes were watching from the darkness. Unaware that the zone was not abandoned. Unaware that they had just walked into a place humans called home. Fog rolled across the ground as Karen and Varl moved deeper into the forbidden zone. The strange footprints they discovered still echoed in their minds. Every step they took felt heavier, like the air itself was warning them to go back. But Karen's curiosity pulled him forward, and Varl had no choice but to follow. The zone grew quieter. Even their own breathing sounded loud. Karen scanned the nearby ruins. Twisted metal beams reached out of the earth like the broken ribs of a giant creature. Strange burn marks covered the walls, circular, precise, clearly not natural. They were almost like weapon damage. Varl pointed at a long metal wall half buried in the ground. Look at this cut. It is clean. Too clean. Karen walked closer and ran his hand along the edge. The cut was straight, sharp, smooth like glass. No alien tool can do this, Varl said. Not on our planet. Karen nodded slowly. Someone with advanced technology was here, or still is. Both stayed silent for a moment. Behind them, high on a rocky ledge, a human soldier kept his rifle trained on them. He whispered into his communicator. They found the old perimeter wall. Move units to the north trail. Do not alert them. Karen and Varl turned suddenly, feeling a faint vibration in the ground. But when they looked behind, the fog hid everything. Did you feel that? Karen asked. Varl nodded nervously. Yes. Something big moved. They moved forward and the landscape changed again. The ground sloped downward, revealing a wide field filled with strange debris, broken boxes, rusted metal, long poles, and pieces of strange fabric. Varl bent down and picked up a piece of cloth. He rubbed it between his fingers. This is not alien fabric. It feels different. Thicker. Like it was made for protection. Karen examined a long metal cylinder on the ground. It was rusted but still solid. What is this? He whispered. Without warning, the cylinder suddenly rolled a few inches as if pushed by something unseen. Both aliens jumped back. Varl raised his scanner. Still no reading. Whatever is here, it hides itself. Karen swallowed. Maybe it wants to be hidden. A sudden sharp noise cracked through the air, metal snapping. The aliens froze. Varl slowly moved his light toward the sound. A metal wire hung from two poles, cut in half. The ground below it was disturbed. It was a trap, Varl whispered. A wire trap. Something caught it, or set it off. Karen bent down to inspect it carefully. This design, it is clever. It pulls objects inward. It uses tension. Varl shook his head. Nobody on our planet uses this style. This is not alien engineering. Up in the darkness, a human voice spoke quietly. Trap A was triggered again. They are close to the old bunker. The aliens continued, now more cautious. Every few seconds Varl turned around, checking their back. Karen kept his light forward, scanning bushes, rocks, broken machinery. As they walked, they found long drag marks on the ground, lines cut deep into the dirt, like something heavy had been pulled across the field. Varl crouched down. These marks, they are days old. Not ancient. Not old. Karen looked at him. Someone worked here recently. Just then, a soft echoing click, like a device turning on, came from behind a pile of rocks. Karen slowly stepped toward the sound. He pushed aside a small metal sheet lying on the ground. Under it was a small rectangular box with a blinking red light. What is this? Karen asked. Varl bent closer. A recorder? No, wait, this looks like a tracker. He scanned it. Unknown energy signature. This is nothing we have ever built. Karen's voice dropped. But someone did. The blinking red light suddenly turned off. Karen and Varl both stepped back in fear. Someone had deactivated it remotely. A few meters away, hidden deep in the fog, a human soldier whispered into his headset. Tracker 6 disabled. Aliens found it. Keep them moving east. Karen felt his heart beat fast. Varl. I think we are walking inside someone else's territory. Varl's voice shook. Yes. And they know we are here. They continued through the field until they reached a tall broken gate made of dark metal. Strange marks covered it, round holes, burned spots, scratches. It looked like it had been attacked long ago. Karen touched one of the circular holes. These are bullet holes, he said suddenly. He didn't know how he knew, but the shape felt wrong, the edges felt sharp, perfect. Varl frowned. What is a bullet? I have never heard this word. Karen shook his head. Old stories talk about metal projectiles. Ancient weapons used by a lost species. Varl sighed. Do not tell me humans? Before Karen could reply, the ground under their feet vibrated again, stronger this time. The fog thinned and a row of deep boot-like footprints appeared in front of them, leading toward a half-buried doorway. Varl whispered, voice tight with fear. These are the same prints from before. They go into that building. Karen looked at the doorway. A metal panel, heavy and old, stood open just a little. Enough for someone to slip through. Someone was here, Karen said. Maybe minutes ago. A cold wind blew through the ruins, carrying faint sounds, like talking. But the language was strange, firm, sharp. Varl stepped closer. What is that sound? Karen listened. Voices. But not ours. Behind them, unnoticed, two human shadows moved silently across the high rocks, watching, tracking, waiting. The aliens followed the footprints toward the open doorway, unaware they were walking straight into a place humans had built, and were still living in. The Forbidden Zone was no longer a mystery. It was occupied. It was protected. And someone inside it was waiting for them. Karen pushed the half-open door with the side of his arm. A long, sharp metal sound echoed as the door scraped the ground. Inside was deep darkness, like the mouth of a cave that refused to share its secrets. Only a thin line of cold light entered from the outside. Varl hesitated. Karen, we should not go inside. This looks dangerous. Everything here is dangerous, Karen replied. But leaving without answers is worse. They stepped into the darkness slowly. The air inside was colder, still, and heavy with dust. Their footsteps echoed in the silence. Somewhere in the distance, a soft dripping sound repeated, steady, slow, like a clock made of water. Karen moved his flashlight across the walls. Strange symbols were scratched into the metal, straight lines, numbers and letters they could not read. Humans wrote these once. Varl scanned them. Translation impossible. The system cannot detect the pattern. Because the writers aren't from our world, Karen said. Somewhere behind them, deep in the shadows, two human figures slipped silently through the ruins, watching their every move. Varl walked ahead and suddenly stopped. Karen, look at this. A long series of wires ran across the floor, hidden under dust. Some wires were cut, others still intact. The wires connected to a strange metal device on the wall. Karen bent down. Be careful. Do not touch anything. But before Varl could answer, clank. His foot tapped a loose metal rod lying on the ground. Instantly, the device on the wall activated. A loud metallic snap rang out, echoing through the entire building. Varl jumped back in shock. His scanner flashed red. Trap detected. High-tension wires, mechanical snap trap, human style. Karen stared at the device. The trap looked simple but deadly, an old human design meant to catch intruders. This proves it, he whispered. Someone built these traps to protect this place. Varl took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. But why? To hide? To hunt? Or to warn? Suddenly the lights above them flickered, once, twice, then died again. Karen slowly turned around. A new sound entered the darkness. Click, click, click. Soft, steady, mechanical. It wasn't a creature. And it wasn't the wind. Varl gripped his scanner tightly. Something is powering up. They moved deeper into the building, flashlights shaking slightly from their nervous hands. The corridor narrowed, the ceilings lowering. Dust fell from above with every step. On the wall they found another metal panel. Karen wiped off the dust. There were clear words stamped into the steel. Human zone, keep out. Varl's voice cracked. This cannot be real. Humans disappeared from the galaxy ages ago. Everyone knows that. Karen shook his head. Maybe they disappeared, because they came here. Suddenly, a distant voice echoed through the hallway. Not alien. Not their language. Short, sharp, controlled words. Varl froze completely. Karen. Someone is speaking. The voice repeated something almost like giving a command. But they couldn't understand the human language. They followed the corridor until they reached a large room filled with broken crates, old containers, discarded metal, torn fabric, and strange tools. Everything looked abandoned, but not too long ago. Dust was thin. Footprints crisscrossed the floor. Human footprints. Karen knelt beside the marks. These are fresh, very fresh. Maybe hours old. Varl held up a long metal object covered in dust. What is this tool? It looks threatening. It's a weapon, Karen whispered. Old human designs used metal launchers. Varl quickly placed it back. I do not like this place. Suddenly, snap. A wire tightened around Varl's leg and yanked him upward. He screamed as he was pulled off the ground, hanging upside down from a trap. Karen rushed to him. Hold still. Varl swung helplessly, hitting the wall and scattering dust everywhere. His scanner flew from his hand and hit the ground. Karen used his knife to cut the rope. Varl dropped to the floor with a painful thud. You okay? Yes, but that trap was human-made. They set these to stop intruders. Karen picked up Varl's scanner. It was cracked but still working. He scanned the rope. Human fiber, the device said. Not alien. Varl shook his head in disbelief. Humans didn't just pass through here. They lived here. They protected this place. They both turned around. Heavy metallic footsteps echoed from deep inside the building. 1 step. 2 steps. Slow, deliberate, approaching. The sound of armor. Varl whispered in fear, Karen. Someone is coming. Karen raised his flashlight toward the corridor. For a moment the light caught a figure, just a shadow, tall, armored and human-shaped. The silhouette moved with confidence, not fear. Then it disappeared behind a wall. Karen's heart pounded. He saw us. No, Varl whispered. He was watching us the whole time. Up in the hidden observation point, a human soldier whispered. Contact confirmed. They triggered 2 traps. They're moving toward the bunker door. Stay alert. We don't know their intentions. Karen and Varl continued toward the deeper doorway. Their minds filled with fear and questions, but their feet kept moving. The traps, the footprints, the machines, the voices, everything pointed to one truth. Humans never left the forbidden zone. They claimed it, they protected it, and they were watching every second. Karen and Varl stepped out of the trap-filled hallway and entered a wider space. Their flashlights shone across a massive underground chamber, half ruined, half active. Broken machines lay on the floor like sleeping metal animals, but faint lights blinked on some of them, showing signs of life. Varl whispered, Karen, this is not an abandoned place. Someone is maintaining these machines. Karen nodded slowly. The air here felt different, warmer, almost controlled. There was a soft hum in the background like a power generator running somewhere behind the walls. They moved forward, eyes scanning everything. On one wall they saw a large metal door. Unlike the other ruined structures, this door looked strong, polished, and untouched. A faint blue light glowed around its edges. Varl stepped closer and froze. Karen, look at this. Numbers and letters were written above the door, clear, clean, and human. Bunker 03, access restricted. Karen touched the surface carefully. It felt warm, almost alive. This door is powered, he whispered. Someone is behind it. Varl's voice shook. But who? And why hide under this zone? Karen pointed to the ground. There were fresh footprints leading straight to the bunker door, clear, deep, and human-sized. He felt a shiver in his spine. Someone entered not long ago. Varl scanned the area. His device buzzed with a strange signal. Energy source detected, strong, stable, foreign. Not from our planet. Behind a stack of old crates, something metallic clinked softly. Both aliens turned sharply, but nothing moved. Yet the feeling of being watched grew stronger. Karen, Varl whispered, I think we are in the center of something big. Karen nodded. And we walked right into it. Across the chamber, hidden on a raised metal platform, 2 human soldiers crouched beside a silent turret-like device. One soldier whispered, They've reached the bunker door. Keep eyes on them. HQ wants no contact yet. The second soldier replied softly, Understood. Let's see what they do. Their weapons stayed aimed at Karen and Varl, but their fingers stayed off the trigger. Observation for now. Karen and Varl continued examining the bunker. A panel beside the door showed a vertical line of red lights. Suddenly one of the red lights flickered and turned yellow. Varl stepped back. Did we activate something? Karen shook his head. No, someone inside did. Varl felt his heart pound. Then they know we are here. Karen studied the door again. We need to understand what happened in this zone. Why so many traps? Why these machines? Why the warnings? He swept his flashlight across the room. On a far wall, a large old banner hung from metal hooks. The cloth was dusty but readable. Outpost Humanis, hold the line. Varl stared at it, confused. What does that mean? Karen's face tightened. It means this zone once belonged to humans. Suddenly the ground beneath them vibrated, soft but noticeable. Varl gasped. Karen, something big is moving on the lower levels. Karen quickly moved toward a set of stairs leading down. We need to check. But before they could go further, a loud metallic crash echoed behind them. They turned instantly. A large metal crate had fallen from a high shelf on its own. Dust filled the air. The lights flickered. Something had pushed it. Varl whispered, voice shaking. Karen, I think someone is trying to warn us. Or scare us. Karen scanned the shadows. Or push us in the direction they want. He looked back at the bunker door. The yellow light switched to green. Varl stepped backward. That door is unlocking. A loud hiss filled the chamber as cables inside the door shifted and tension released. The thick metal door cracked open just slightly. A thin line of white light spilled out. Both aliens froze. Karen, Varl whispered carefully, we did not open this door. Karen nodded. Someone inside wants us to see something. They moved slowly toward the opening, hearts pounding. Inside the bunker, they could hear faint sounds, machines running, footsteps, and distant voices speaking in the same strange human language they had heard earlier. Varl touched Karen's arm. Maybe we should leave. Maybe this is too big for us. Karen looked at him with a determined expression. If humans survived, if they never went extinct, then this changes everything. Our entire history is wrong. Suddenly, a bright flash of light filled the chamber behind them. Whoosh! Both aliens spun around. A spotlight had turned on from the high platform above. It shined directly at them. Varl shielded his eyes. Someone is above us. Karen raised his light and aimed it upward, but the platform was too high and covered in shadows. He saw movement, metal armor glinting. Then a human voice echoed sharply across the room. Do not enter the bunker. Step back. The voice was calm, controlled, and unmistakably human. Varl's knees almost gave out. Karen, that was a human. A real human. Alive. Karen stared at the platform, breath frozen in his chest. You are supposed to be extinct. The human voice replied. We survived. We adapted. And this zone is ours. The spotlight dimmed slightly but stayed pointed at them. Karen whispered to Varl. They aren't running. They aren't hiding. They are warning us. Varl whispered back. Maybe because something worse is down there, inside the bunker. The human on the platform spoke again. Step away. The danger behind that door is not for your species to face. Karen and Varl looked at each other in fear and confusion. The mystery was deepening faster than they could understand. The Forbidden Zone wasn't forbidden because of death or ruins. It was forbidden because humans were protecting something terrifying inside it. The spotlight burned down on Karen and Varl, making their shadows stretch across the dusty floor. Neither of them moved. Neither of them breathed loudly. This moment felt like the center of the universe, heavy, dangerous, and life-changing. A living human had spoken to them. A species their history books called extinct, lost, vanished. But here, in the Forbidden Zone, a human stood above them, calm and confident, speaking like he owned the place. Varl's voice trembled, barely a whisper. Karen, what do we do? If we move wrong, they might attack. Karen swallowed hard. His heart thumped painfully inside his chest. We do nothing, until they tell us. The spotlight shifted slightly, following every small movement they made. Whoever controlled it was good at his job. Then a quiet metallic clank echoed from the platform. It sounded like someone in armor was adjusting their position. Karen stepped forward just half an inch. Instantly, a harsh voice echoed. Stop. Karen froze again. We mean no harm, he said, raising his hands slowly. Silence. The human replied, voice steady. We know. If you meant harm, you would not have survived the traps. Varl whispered to himself. They were watching, from the beginning. Above them, more movement. Now there were at least 2 human silhouettes, maybe 3. Their armor glinted softly. Their helmets had glowing visors, blue, sharp, intelligent. Karen tried again. We only came here because of a strange signal. We didn't know. The human cut him off. You entered a restricted human area. Nobody enters these zones. Not your kind. Not anyone. Your kind? The words hit Varl like a hammer. Humans knew their species. Humans knew them. But their species believed humans didn't exist anymore. Karen gathered his courage. What is inside the bunker? Why did you warn us away? The humans didn't answer. Instead, another sound filled the room. A loud hiss, deep and mechanical, coming from the bunker door behind them. Varl turned toward it. Karen. The door is opening more. White light shone brighter from the crack as gears moved inside the walls. The human shouted sharply. Step away from the door. Now. This was no simple warning. This was fear, real fear, in the human's voice. Karen knew instantly. Whatever was inside the bunker scared even the humans. The ground shook slightly as a deep rumbling echoed from behind the door. The air grew warm, then cold, then warm again, as if something inside was disturbing the atmosphere. Varl panicked. Karen, please, let's leave. This is not a mystery anymore. This is danger. Karen wanted to leave too, but something about this felt important. If humans survived, if they were here, if they were guarding something, then discovering the truth could change their whole world. Karen shouted toward the platform. Tell us what is inside. Why are you hiding? What danger are you talking about? The human's voice turned cold. Something we fought. Something we contained. Something your species is not ready to face. As he spoke, metal creaked from behind the door. A long shadow appeared on the other side of the narrow opening, massive, moving slowly. Varl stumbled backward. As something is coming out. The humans above reacted instantly. Close the door. Seal it now. Power surge detected. Override the lock. Several loud beeps filled the air as they tried to force the bunker door shut. But the door didn't move. Karen's eyes went wide. You can't close it? The human answered sharply. We can. But something inside is pushing back. The shadow inside the bunker shifted again. Heavy breathing echoed from within, a deep, monstrous sound that didn't belong to any species Karen or Varl knew. Varl nearly backed into the wall. Karen, I'm begging you, run. Karen grabbed Varl's arm, keeping him steady. We can't outrun whatever this is. Above them, the humans started shouting new orders. Deploy drones. Activate defense grid. Keep weapons aimed at the door. Small blinking lights activated on the ceiling. Turrets, drones, sensors. The entire zone came alive. The Forbidden Zone wasn't ruined. It was a military defense area, still active. And humans were its soldiers. One human stepped forward on the platform, his armor heavier, more advanced. His voice was deeper, more commanding. Listen to me, aliens. You need to back away. Now. Karen looked up at him. Who are you? I am Captain Rourke of Outpost Humanis. Humanis? Karen whispered. So humans really built all this? Captain Rourke nodded once. We did. We survived. And we stayed hidden for a reason. What reason? Karen asked again. Rourke pointed toward the bunker door, where the shadow inside was now clearer, massive, breathing, alive. That, Rourke said, voice darkening, is the reason. Varl's eyes widened with terror. Karen, it's awake. The humans raised their weapons. The bunker lights flickered. The door shook violently. A deep roar vibrated through the entire chamber. Karen felt his whole body tense. Rourke shouted. You wanted answers? You're about to meet one. And then, the creature inside slammed against the bunker door with terrifying force. The metal bent. Something was trying to break out. Something humans had been keeping locked away for years. Something the aliens were never meant to see. The bunker door bulged forward, metal bending like paper. Every creature in the chamber, human or alien, felt the shockwave in their bones. Dust rained from the ceiling. The lights flickered again like they were afraid too. Varl's legs shook so badly he had to lean against the wall. Karen, this is wrong. We should not be here. We should not see this. Karen agreed inside his heart, but he kept his eyes focused. He had come too far to run now. Captain Rourke raised his hand, signaling his soldiers. Hold positions, he barked. Drones form a barrier. Small hovering drones zipped forward, creating a glowing shield line aimed at the cracking bunker door. The banging came again. Boom. The entire room trembled. Karen whispered, What is in there? Rourke answered without looking away from the door. It is something born from war. Something engineered. Something we barely stopped once. Varl's voice cracked. And now it is waking again, because of us? Rourke turned his head slightly. Yes. Your energy signal activated the old systems. You triggered the reset. Karen closed his eyes for a moment. So they were the reason this creature was waking. They had done this. Before he could speak, the bunker door shrieked loudly as metal tore. A thick claw, long and black, pushed through the crack. Varl screamed. Karen stepped backward, staring in shock. The claw scraped the metal as the creature inside roared, a deep, monstrous sound that felt like it came from the earth itself. Rourke pointed at the door. Turrets, target the opening. Turrets dropped from the ceiling and aimed. A high-pitched hum filled the chamber. Fire. Rourke shouted. Blinding energy bolts shot into the crack in the door. The chamber filled with smoke and sparks. The creature roared louder, angrier now. But the door didn't stop moving. It kept bending outward. Rourke's soldier yelled, "Captain! The turrets aren't slowing it." Rourke cursed under his breath. "Then we go to stage 2. All teams, prepare for ground defense." Karen felt his heart racing. The humans were preparing to fight something their weapons could barely harm. Varl whispered, "Karen, are humans mad? They are not running. They are preparing to fight that thing." Karen stared at them in awe. "No, they are not mad. They are soldiers." Rourke turned toward them suddenly. "You two. Behind the barrier. Now." Karen nodded and pulled Varl toward the glowing drone line. The humans were forming a battle formation, tight, organized, ready. Another boom blasted through the room. The door flew open. This time completely. A rush of cold air and dust blasted outward. The lights turned red. The alarm screamed. From the shadows of the bunker stepped something huge. It was 12 feet tall, covered in dark armored skin. Its eyes glowed a bright orange. Its teeth were long like knives. And its body was built to break anything in its path. Varl collapsed to his knees, whispering, "Ancestors, save us." Karen felt frozen, unable to breathe. Rourke spoke calmly into his calm. "All squats, aim high. Do not let it get past the line." The creature stepped out and let out a roar that shook the chamber. Then it charged. The humans fired at once. A storm of blue energy. Red laser shots. Exploding drone blasts. The creature pushed through the fire like it was nothing. Karen shouted, "It's not slowing down." Rourke responded, "It won't. It was created to survive worse." The monster grabbed a drone and crushed it with one hand. Sparks flew everywhere. It slammed its fist into the floor, sending a shockwave that knocked 2 soldiers off their feet. One soldier rolled to the ground with a scream. Rourke yelled, "Medic, get him out." Another human sprinted in, dragging the injured soldier back behind cover. Karen was stunned. Humans didn't run from danger. They ran toward each other to help. The creature smashed another turret, roaring louder. Rourke finally turned toward Karen. "You asked who we are? Humans?" He pointed at the charging monster. "That thing was made to kill us. And we are the ones who stopped it once. We can do it again." Karen felt something shift inside his chest, fear turning into respect. The creature leapt forward. It swung its arm toward Rourke. But Rourke dodged with surprising speed, rolling under its swing and firing his weapon upward. The shot hit the creature's jaw, making it stumble. "Hit the joints?" Rourke shouted. "It's armored everywhere else." The soldiers snapped into new formation, shooting at the creature's legs and elbows. It roared again as sparks flew from its limbs. But it did not fall. It turned toward the drone barrier, toward where Karen and Varl stood. Varl screamed, "Karen, move!" The creature lunged. The drone barrier flickered. It wasn't built to stop something this strong. Karen grabbed Varl and tried to pull him away. But the creature raised its claw, ready to strike. Rourke saw it. He ran faster than Karen thought a human could move. He jumped between the creature and the aliens. Shield raised. Weapon glowing. Eyes locked with the monster. "Not them," Rourke growled. "Your fight is with us." The creature swung. Rourke blocked. The impact shook the room. And Karen realized something terrifying and inspiring at the same time. Humans were not extinct. Humans were warriors. And they would rather die than let a threat escape. The battle was not over. It was only beginning. The creature's massive claws slammed into Captain Rourke's shield, sending shockwaves across the chamber. Sparks exploded from the shield's surface. Rourke's boots slid back across the floor, but he did not fall. He braced himself, teeth tight, muscles locked. Behind him, Karen and Varl stared in disbelief. Humans did not just fight. Humans stood in front of danger and refused to move. "Karen," Varl whispered. Why would he protect us?" Karen didn't answer. He didn't know. But something inside him felt warm, like he was watching history change. Rourke shouted over his shoulder, "Fall back to the safe zone. Now." But Karen didn't move. He stepped forward instead. "No. We caused this. We woke the creature. We won't run." Rourke glanced at him for half a second, surprised but not angry. Then he nodded once. "Then help us. Stay behind me. Watch and learn." The creature roared again. This time the sound shook the room so hard that ceiling plates fell down. The lights blinked red, then bright white, then red again. Rourke pointed forward. "All squats, heavy formation. Target its weak points." The human soldiers moved like one machine. They formed a circle around the creature, weapons aimed at its joints and neck. Energy blasts filled the air in a storm of color and light. The creature stumbled but did not fall. It was angry now, louder, faster, stronger. It swung its giant arm and smashed 4 drones at once. Then it lunged at the nearest soldier. Rourke reacted instantly. Delta. Evade. The soldier dove aside just in time. The creature's claws slammed into the metal floor, cracking it like ice. Karen felt fear rising in his chest. Rourke. How do we stop it? Rourke answered without looking back. That thing is called a warforged beast. It was created during the Human End War. Built to destroy entire armies. Varl gasped. You made this. Rourke shook his head sharply. Not us. Our enemies made it. We survived by capturing it. Locking it away. The creature charged again, this time straight toward Rourke. Rourke raised his shield. The impact sent him flying across the chamber. Rourke! Karen shouted. The captain crashed against a pillar, sparks flying from his armor. He groaned and pushed himself up, coughing. Still alive, he growled. Keep firing. The beast turned toward Karen and Varl. Its glowing orange eyes locked on them. Varl's legs shook uncontrollably. Kikun. It's coming for us. Karen stepped forward instead of back. His fear was still there, but something stronger was rising. Something new. He yelled, Over here. Fight me. The creature roared and charged. Karen braced for death. But Rourke wasn't done yet. Move, the captain shouted. A blast of light flashed across the room. Rourke had fired a grenade directly into the creature's leg. Boom. The explosion rocked the chamber. The creature staggered, roaring in pain for the first time. Rourke's voice boomed across the chamber. Now. All squads, maximum fire. Every human weapon activated at full power. The air vibrated with energy. The creature stumbled backward. But it did not fall. Instead, it grew angrier. It slammed its fists into the ground, sending shockwaves that knocked everyone off their feet, humans and aliens alike. The drone barrier flickered and died completely. Karen, get down? Varl yelled. But Karen did not get down. He saw something the humans had missed. A glowing energy core on the creature's chest, pulsing in rhythm with each roar. Rourke! Karen shouted. The core. Shoot the core. Rourke looked up, surprised again. Karen pointed. It's the power source. That's how they controlled beasts like this. Rourke growled with new determination. All units, aim for the core. The creature roared louder, realizing it had been discovered. It charged toward Karen. Fast. Too fast. Karen froze. Varl screamed, Karen, move! But before the beast could reach him, Rourke dashed in front of Karen and thrust his shield upward. The creature's claws slammed into the shield, bending it. But Rourke stayed standing. Take the shot, he yelled. Karen didn't have a weapon. But the humans did. Fire. Rourke roared. 12 beams. 100 sparks. A storm of light. All slammed directly into the glowing core. The core cracked. Then shattered. The creature let out a final roar that echoed against every wall, loud, furious, dying. Then it collapsed backward in a cloud of dust and smoke. Silence. For the first time since the bunker opened, the chamber was silent. Then Rourke slowly lowered his broken shield. It's over, he said softly. The soldiers lowered their weapons. Some fell to their knees from exhaustion. Varl collapsed, shaking with relief. We survived. Karen helped him up, still staring at the fallen monster. Rourke walked toward them. He stopped right in front of Karen. You saved us, Rourke said. Most aliens run when they see things like this. You didn't. Karen swallowed hard. You protected us first. You didn't even know us, but you stood between us and death. Rourke smirked tiredly. That's what humans do. Karen looked around the chamber, at the soldiers, at the destroyed drones, at the monster. And he understood something very important. Humans were not weak. They were not lost. They were not extinct. They were strong. They were clever. They were dangerous. And they were alive. Rourke placed a hand on Karen's shoulder. Come with us, the captain said. You two wanted truth? We will show you everything. Karen nodded. Varl nodded too, though still shaking. And together, alien and human, they walked deeper into the forbidden zone. Not as enemies, but as the beginning of something new. Something